AJ climbs the cage, The Rock's concert singing to Vickie Guerrero, and that frickin' steel cage match. Oh man, what a 20-year anniversary Monday Night Raw review. What's up, guys? Welcome back to ReviewSpace, and yes, time to recap and talk about the results of last night's episode of Monday Night Raw, January 14, 2013. Let's begin. Wade Barrett defeating Randy Orton with a bullhammer elbow. Good win, I like it. Definitely a mark for a Wade Barrett. I thought it was a very important, almost surprising win. I mean, I like the fact that they put over Barrett this time, and he's definitely on the rise. I can't wait until he becomes like a world champion. That's going to be sweet. CM Punk defeating Brodus Clay via Anaconda Vise. Kind of a cool thing because, you know, obviously CM Punk referring to, in his promo last week, talking about, you know, how Brodus Clay was a 400-pound monster that's kind of misused and doing the shucking and jiving thing. And I guess he might have requested this match, or it was set up, you know, just the way it is, and I like it. I kind of like the fact that here you have Brodus Clay, who's not normally in the title picture, and this might not even be considered, you know, obviously a title type of, you know, contendership kind of thing. It was just basically a way for CM Punk to go over. But the fact that they did a match together, you know, they did business together, is kind of a nod towards his kind of credibility as a 400-pound monster. And even at the end, he was putting him over like, man, I just defeated a 400-pound monster. Check that out. Man, those girls are freaking hot, by the way. The Funkadactyls. It's a shame that they don't get a chance to do too much. You know, they just dance, come out a little bit, and, you know, give these girls some in-ring time. You know, branch them off or something, and, you know, give them something else to do. Steel cage match, John Cena defeating Dolph Ziggler again. Biggie Langston was via ringside as well. Got him with the attitude adjustment. The most memorable part was, of course, AJ losing her freaking mind in a fit of rage. She ended up climbing the cage, and everybody's like, I've never seen a diva do this before. Oh my gosh. Well, that was pretty interesting. There's always some kind of thing with AJ where she does something out of the ordinary. They always make her do some like crazy stuff that gives her attention, and it really puts her over. Alright, we have The Rock singing to Vickie Guerrero. He called her, man, all kinds of things actually. He called her a hooker and all that stuff. Now, of course, it really wasn't a PG style segment because he was, you know, using these terms, called her a hooker and you're not the expensive kind, and Biatch, you look horrible tonight. Mentioning that quite a few times. This, I believe that Raw was still 3 hours, so maybe that third hour might have been like a stretch out of that, you know, that PG time slot, you know, like once it goes beyond the prime time, like later in that night. I'm not sure how not the ratings, but the censorship issues work, but maybe after a certain hour, you're allowed to kind of get away with those words. But yeah, I thought it was actually kind of entertaining because the crowd was really into it. The Texas crowd was definitely digging that Rock concert. Still kind of dead though, like, you know, when The Rock comes out nowadays, the crowd is still a little bit like, you know what I mean? They don't react nearly as loud as they used to. I mean, you see all those segments that they've shown from the Attitude Era and older, and there was a lot of like huge pops, you know, the Stone Cold stuff, The Rock back in the day with his shades. That's what I'm talking about, man. That's The Rock in his prime. It was cool too, like at the very beginning, I love the intro package thing that they had. They showed the different intros of Monday Night Raw over the years, the past 20 years. That was really cool, very nostalgic. Oh man. They had the different theme songs too. But yeah, afterwards, you know, The Rock called out CM Punk, referred to Paul Heyman as twinkie tits, and then basically CM Punk brawled with The Rock ringside. It was almost kind of forced though. Like I'm still not. It doesn't feel intense, you know, when CM Punk is basically jumping at The Rock, and The Rock's just, you know, it just doesn't feel that interesting. It's not hype. kind of forced. You know, it just feels so contrite, and like the only reason they're doing this is because they're gonna have its Royal Rumble. Very weak build-up, in my opinion. Okay, and then we have the MizTV segment, you know, with Ric Flair. I thought that was another memorable segment. They had a woo-off kind of thing, almost like a Jay Lethal nod. Well, not a nod, but I mean, it was like they reused what they did in TNA with Jay Lethal. Interruption by Antonio Cesaro, which was, I thought it made it even more interesting. You know, Cesaro basically just berating Ric Flair. You know, you made 10 million, but you lost 20. You know, he was corrected by Flair. No, it's actually 30 million that I lost. I like the line he said, "Oh, the only four, you know, the four horsemen hand signal symbol that only now represents your 4 ex-wives," which I thought was just like, oh snap. He got a good one in. It was a pretty entertaining segment. It might have been the best segment of the night. Ric Flair is just hilarious. He is awesome, very charismatic still. He almost seemed like like he was told you're not allowed to say this. Like, you know, he kind of has like this censored way about him now. You know, he's almost a little too relaxed now. But still, you know, Flair and Miz, they ended up beating down Cesaro. Frickin' Miz did the 4-figure leg lock on Cesaro. I wish it would have been Ric Flair instead, but I guess they wanted to give the rub to Miz ultimately, which is smart if you want to build up the younger guy. Other matches and segments, they had Big Show, Vince McMahon, and Alberto Del Rio at the very beginning, basically just promoting I guess it's a world title match at Royal Rumble, a rematch for the World Championship. By the way, I mean, that was definitely a great match with, you know, Alberto Del Rio and Big Show on SmackDown last week. It was probably the best title change I've seen in a while. You know, it really made the World Championship feel important. It was very dramatic, good storytelling, and it made me care about the match. It was great. The Shield circling around Mick Foley. They got a pretty good pop too. Like, the crowd was really like, whoa, oh, you know, they really were kind of digging the Shield. Man, I love the Shield. Yes, but of course, you know, Mick Foley was saved by Ryback, Orton, and Sheamus, and this was very kind of just, you know, deja vu. The same exact segment really they had, except with Mick Foley in there, who didn't even really do anything. I thought they would have jumped Mick Foley, but not even that. It was basically the same exact thing. They're probably gonna have a match somewhere down the road, maybe at Royal Rumble. I don't know. And I can see like a 3-on-3 match somewhere along the line, you know, a pay-per-view match or something. Kane defeating Damien Sandow with a chokeslam. Other matches, Caitlyn defeating Eve to win the Divas Championship, which I didn't watch this match at all. 3MB against Sheamus. 3MB defeating Sheamus in kind of an over-the-top handicap challenge kind of thing. And Daniel Bryan submitting Cody Rhodes with the no-lock. They also had, you know, they showed some other nostalgic footage, Mike Tyson stuff with Stone Cold, the vehicle segment. I was glad that they showed Kofi Kingston destroying Randy Orton's supposed, you know, race car or whatever. I mean, it was cool, man. I thought it was definitely a very entertaining episode compared to the previous weeks. And the 20-year, they really wanted to make it special, and it was. It felt they built something, and they had some pretty cool segments. Even like Dolph Ziggler's little promo interview backstage was, you know, it was pretty cool. Overall, I thought it was definitely a pretty decent episode, but, you know, we're on the road to WrestleMania. You know, ultimately the Royal Rumble is a feeder system to Mania, so of course they're going to try and step up, you know, the episodes a little bit, make it feel a bit special. Just a little bit more, just lackluster with The Rock and CM Punk. I'm just not completely into it, you know. I just think it doesn't, this feud doesn't need to exist. We don't need to have The Rock versus Punk. You know, it just doesn't, to me, it's hard to care about it because The Rock is not a regular contender, and then Punk, who's been a champion but hasn't really done too much, like, he's been kind of boring. So the whole thing just feels kind of There's, you know, the other things that I really enjoy are kind of the guys on the rise. Guys like the Damien Sandow, the Dolph Zigglers, the the Shield, you know, Ryback, you know, certain characters that feel like they could have something special somewhere down the road where they can be pushed to the top main event, and you know, they feel more fresh. You know, just we need these new characters to be pushed instead of relying constantly on like stuff that happened, you know, 10 years ago, or you know, characters from 10 years ago and so on. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, overall, not a bad episode. Till next time, ciao.